So Rebecca, you got to tell us a little bit about where we are and what we're doing.
We are at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, here with Coach Dean, my torture escort, and we're in the altitude chamber here, which is pretty fascinating. So I have an upcoming trip to Kilimanjaro where I attempt to hike up, hike, push my bike up to the top and cycle down as a cool adventure, but also fundraising for World Bicycle Relief. And so Dean was kind enough to give me access in here to kind of simulate some of the last days of the summit and getting up to above 19,000 feet. So this is day 3, and we've been walking on this treadmill, simulating this 40-pound weight vest, simulating the weight of my bike and my pack, speed, grade, the humidity in the room. Those are all what Dean has figured out kind of to simulate what I'm going to experience on Kilimanjaro. And really the ultimate goal is to kind of figure out the speed that's doable for me to acclimatize. We're watching metrics like my blood oxygenation, my pulse, kind of just seeing how I react to walking that high uphill. So it's a little bit of a specialized preparation for that adventure.
So we're not really here to train and improve fitness, it's more all of the other aspects of the challenge of getting up Kilimanjaro.
Exactly. I mean, my own training and my own fitness is, self-study at home. But what I'm really learning from this after 2 days is really cool is, one, the muscle training of calves and walking in my feet, because I'm a cyclist primarily, so getting those kind of things into shape, feeling, carrying weight again, and then also really figuring out where my threshold is of kind of the point of no return, where everything starts to decline if I'm going a little too fast. So we're really finding that the perceived efforts, what the heart rate does, so that when I'm on Kilimanjaro, I can pace more intelligently and set myself up for the best possible opportunity to get to the summit and back down again safely.
So what happens either in here or on Kilimanjaro when you suddenly speed up and are going too fast?
It's really interesting because you see, initially I'll start to feel my fingers tingle, I feel pressure behind my eyes, and even Dean, he said he can see it in my face goes a little bit whiter. And so it's cool to have those physical sensations so that I can be sort of my governor and be like, oh, gotta bring it back down a little. But then you also see the metrics behind it. They're all hitting the same markers at that threshold where my oxygenation starts to plummet, my heart rate starts to go up, and it won't stabilize back down. And so we're experimenting with, we're walking normally at about 2.5 miles an hour, and when I get to that sort of threshold point, if we drop it just down to like 2.2 miles an hour, immediately my body can recover and stabilize again. And so for an endurance thing like this, staying in that safety zone in a way is just gonna mean I can keep going instead of having to stop and take these huge breaks. It's gonna make it easier on my body.
So the difference between going faster and stopping for breaks versus going slower and steadier, from your background in ultra endurance and everything else, what's your sort of preferred strategy?
This expedition suits me. I've always been a diesel engine. It's, the years I've won Leadville, I've never been in the lead from the beginning, and people have actually kind of, hassled me about that. Like, why do you start so slow? And it's like, I don't start slow, I race consistently, and there's a big difference. And I know for my body type, my metabolism, and my strengths that a slower, steadier pace has always served me really well. So this is going to be no different. And it's it's a lesson that's hard to take because, you know, any start line, you get out there and everybody's amped, everybody's going fast, and we all want to do that and keep up. And it takes a very strong governor in your head to say, nope, I'm going to be patient. And I still, after 20 years being a professional athlete, I still have that. It just happened yesterday where Dean's like, let's bring it down to 2.1 miles an hour. And I'm like, yeah, but I would get there faster if I stay at 2.5. And so, especially at altitude, your cognitive abilities are declining as well. And so the reason I really want like some hard heart rate numbers and sensations is because I know that racer in me is gonna want it, the summit's gonna be right there. And the racer in me is gonna wanna just charge after it. And so this is, for me, this education to actually help me be really smart about it, because at 19,000 feet, I might not be very smart. I might be kind of stupid up there. And so I will be able to look at the heart rate and remember Dean and be like, well, Dean said it's tortoise and the hare, you know, steady wins the race. And especially when you're in the danger zone, above 14,000 feet, you know, there's no messing around. It's not a big deal if somebody starts too fast in a mountain bike race and they end up bonking and cratering to the finish line. But up at 19,000 feet, if I make mistakes with pacing, I could actually have some really serious health issues, and people died up there from not being smart about it. So for me, yeah, I want to summit, but I also want to be healthy. I want to feel good at the top and take pictures and get safely back down. Yeah, I'm actually probably more nervous about the descent than the ascent, because with this, I'm learning the hydration, I'm learning my heart rate, I'm learning the things I can control on the way up. What I can't control on the way down is, you know, crazy boulder fields, and this isn't a mountain bike route, it's a hiking route. And so for any of you who've hiked in Colorado or elsewhere, a walking track versus a riding track can be very different. And from what I know, you know, the top is lots of rocks and boulders, and I know there'll be tons of hike-a-bike. So there'll be the technical challenge, but you also add in your cognitive abilities are diminished, your reaction time is diminished up that high, you're definitely not, you know, firing at your best, making decisions, maneuvering around things. And so I'm definitely worried about the descent, and I've been working with SRAM and Niner to figure out one, the lightest but the most capable bike for descending, and kind of talking about, is it worth a little extra weight to have a bigger fork and a reverb dropper seat post, and absolutely some of those things. I'm going to change my setup, keep the bike really light, but to also keep it safe on the way down.
How about things like, will the air pressure either in tires or in shocks be affected by altitude that high?
That's something I'm talking to the SRAM engineers about, and we've talked about brakes, and they've said to me, you know, the guide brakes, no problem, 19,000 feet, as long as I go there with a good brake bleed, and I go there with all the seals intact. And so from everything that SRAM says, it's not an issue. And I was just there this morning, and you know, I'm not going to take a lot of spare parts, if any. You know, the bike needs to perform as is, and so things like not riding a carbon wheel, but riding a very light aluminum wheel in case I do bend a rim, I can still keep riding. So figuring out the bike and the logistics and all the gear, that's actually kind of exciting for me, because it's one of the best parts about an adventure is what backpack and how am I going to put my bike on my back, and I actually really like that kind of stuff. It's kind of fun.
And beyond the personal achievement, is there a larger goal in play for this?
Yeah, I'm teamed up with World Bicycle Relief, because they do a lot of work in Africa, providing bikes for people to get to school, get to work, healthcare workers, students. And I've been aligned with their cause for a number of years and been wanting to go visit a facility where the bikes are assembled, the villages where the bikes are donated. And so after we summit, super excited, I'm going to go visit visit a facility, meet some of the people who are benefiting from World Bicycle Relief's efforts. And so for me, it's a huge personal connection. And you know, the bike is my tool to sort of help me do my job and live my life. And essentially it's their tool as well to better their situation. So it'll be two really cool parts of the trip. I'm pretty excited about it. So we have a fundraising page set up, and my goal is to raise over $19,000, which is the summit elevation of Kilimanjaro. That's how I picked that number. So it's just over 100 bikes, and we already have 3, so we're on our way.